yet more disgusting and frankly unacceptable, indecent language from the president of the United States, apparently unable to act within the decorum of the office or even just basic decency. He is now under criticism from a former aide. The president tweeted this morning, once again, the 8th time, about Omarosa, this time calling her a dog. And what is getting so deeply under the president's skin that he has to resort to this? That's what we want to know. Ironically, the allegation by Omarosa is that a recording exists of him using the N-word. Well, she made her own recordings during her time on the campaign and in the White House, something we asked her about when we spoke to her yesterday on this very show.
Do you have more recordings?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you planning on releasing them?
I don't know. I'm going to watch to see. They've been threatening legal action. They're trying to figure out, how to stop me.
All right. Less than 24 hours. Just this morning, she released another recording to CBS, apparently capturing a phone call she had with then campaign spokesperson Katrina Pearson and senior advisor Lynn Patton discussing a potential N-word tape, something the president has denied, and how they could spin it if it came out. NBC News has not been given access to this tape, and we do not know what came before or after, but let's listen.
I'm trying to find out at least what context it was used in, to help us maybe try to figure out a way to spin it.
I said, well, sir, can you think of any time that this might have happened? And he said no.
Well, that's not true.
He goes, how do you think I should handle it? And I told him exactly what you just said, Omarosa, which is, well, it depends on what scenario you're talking about. And he said, well, why don't you just go ahead and put it to bed? I don't know what the scandal is.
No, he said it. He's embarrassed.
Last night on Fox News, Katrina Pearson said that conversation never took place.
No, Ed, that did not happen. It sounds like she's writing a script for a movie. I've already been out there talking about this. That is absolutely not true. I have no sources with that tape.
Well, she's not just writing a script for a movie. It appears she's already filmed it. You're in it, Katrina.
Right. It's recorded. This is interesting. This is now a pattern of 3 or 4 days now where someone has said didn't exist, no conversation happened, not true, and Omarosa has the tapes.
And this newest recording is adding credence to the communication strategy that Omarosa detailed to the two of us yesterday, where she said that the White House staff on a daily basis preps the president to lie to the American people.
So was he being prepped to lie?
He was being prepped by Hope Hicks and the comms team.
So if the comms team prepped the president to lie to Lester Holt,
they prep him to lie every day.
His comment about Omarosa is just the latest in the president's attacks on women and minorities. Days after NBA superstar LeBron James opened a school for at-risk youth paid for with his own money, Trump implied that LeBron was dumb, adding that CNN anchor Don Lemon was the dumbest man on television. Trump has repeatedly called Congresswoman Maxine Waters a low IQ person, and after Megyn Kelly challenged him at a primary debate, he said she had blood coming out of her, whatever.
Another NBC colleague, Mika Brzezinski, he's called neurotic and made remarks about her appearance. He called Puerto Ricans who are still recovering from Hurricane Maria nearly a year later ingrates. He gave a former Miss Universe the nickname Miss Piggy. He called NFL players protesting police violence son of a bitch, and he's called Rosie O'Donnell a fat, ugly slob.
Miss Piggy, mirror, mirror, Mr. President. As Chief of Staff John Kelly lamented to the press corps how women used to be scared, maybe he should take it up. Excuse me. Women used to be sacred. Maybe he should take that up with his own boss. The president has called women vulgar terms, called breastfeeding mothers disgusting, said he can treat them like blank. And of course, he is free to grab them by the genitals. I remember when Ivanka Trump was asked about that tape, she said she had never heard her father speak like that. But after hearing the tape, she found it very jarring. Well, first daughter, Ivanka Trump, senior advisor to the president, advocate for the advancement of women and girls. What do you say about the long list of other things? Still jarring?
Okay, but it's not just this. I mean, the president has issued a travel ban initially aimed at Muslims based largely on their faith. And we can't forget that he launched his campaign by calling Mexicans rapists. So for those people who are still struggling with this idea, and in fairness, we had to ask Omarosa about when she came around to the idea that the president might be a bigot, because she's one of very few people who can't look at this evidence and come to the conclusion that the president is bigoted.
We're not defending Omarosa or her credibility. She's someone who during the campaign was part of a documentary where she said the naysayers will be bowing at the altar of President Trump. I mean, it's just stunning to watch all of this happen.
Joining us now is Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and Washington Post opinion writer Jonathan Capehart. Jonathan, good to see you, my friend. Let's start with Omarosa. The White House and the president's allies are calling her character and credibility into question. A lot of people are, by the way, and have been for a while. She spent years building herself as a reality TV villain, but she's got tapes. No matter what anyone,
Michael Cohen. You could say Michael Cohen.
You don't have to like him. He's got tapes.
A complete sleazeball. He's got tapes, and now so does she.
You know what's interesting here? You know that poem about the snake that President Trump used to trot out on the campaign trail, and now that he's president, he has said it as recently as the CPAC conference this past April. The story of the woman who was on her way to work and found a frozen snake and brought it into her home and was shocked when it came back to life and bit her in the chest and it's venomous and she was going to die. President Trump has surrounded himself by snakes his entire career. Outside the White House, we see it with Michael Cohen. Inside the White House, we're now seeing it with Omarosa. And I'm not saying, I am not doing a dog-snake comparison here. What I'm trying to say is this stuff comes from the top. The president said he hires the best people, but what we're seeing is they're not the best people. These are folks who clearly have no reverence for the office of the presidency, clearly no reverence for him or respect for him. In fact, they don't trust him. Omarosa is showing us she never trusted him. Keep something in mind. I don't know if you noticed this. The first couple of tapes were from the day Omarosa was fired, inside the Situation Room, which was unbelievably spectacular that she was able to tape the chief of staff to the president inside a secure room. The next tape is her conversation with the president of the United States, informing him that she had been fired. Just those two access points are jarring, but they came the day that she was fired. This new tape, this new recording with Katrina Pearson and Ms. Patton and Omarosa comes really during the campaign. Think of these as two bookends. The campaign, the end of her time at the White House. If she says she has hundreds of tapes, that means there are lots of conversations that we're going to hear about during her time in the White House when she was assistant to the president. Mr. President, if you are now degrading your former assistant, you should blame, if you're going to blame her, you need to blame yourself clearly as much as you're blaming her.
I want you to stay on that, who the president is surrounded by and the damage control mode they're in today. You already saw Kellyanne Conway trying to weave her way through whether or not the president used one specific word, i.e. the N-word. And they want to single Omarosa out, saying she's the villain, she's the bad apple, she's the bad guy. How are they going to do that when you pull up the laundry list of Boris Epshteyn, Sebastian Gorka, Rob Porter, Shulkin, Price, Pruitt, Sean Spicer, Sarah Sanders, who are known liars at that podium every single day. And let's not forget, you got Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller in the White House. So how can the White House possibly get out from under this and move on, focusing on, as Brian Williams always talks about, the president advancing his legislative agenda? How are they possibly going to get to that when you look at who all these people are?
Look, they'll be able to get beyond this if we in the press, and particularly our colleagues there in the briefing room, if we allow them to get beyond this. There are no innocents here. There are no people of high moral standing and moral character involved in this conversation. So we have to start from that point. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to go to that podium and do what press secretaries have done since the position was formed, and that is to defend the president and defend the presidency. She is going to stand up there and say whatever she needs to say to protect him, and probably read word for word what he's probably dictated to her to say, but it is clear from the montage of things the two of you, Ali and Stephanie, were talking about what the president has said throughout his career and time on the campaign trail and as president. No one is surprised by any of this. I spent the opening 6 minutes of AM Joy on Saturday just walking through only 10 of the things that President Trump has said since Charlottesville.
To this point, you were doing it. Yeah. We've all been talking about this stuff. We were talking, some of these things that we're showing on the screen right now were before the election. This president has been free of the consequences that would destroy any other candidate.
Right.
It is hard to make sense of this.
Binders of women was so damaging to Mitt Romney, and you've got fat, ugly pigs here.
Unbelievable.
Right. No, wouldn't you love to go back to the days of Mitt Romney and binders of women and that being the most egregious thing ever said? President Trump has blown that completely out of the water. Here's how you hold him accountable. People have to go and vote in November. And I say that not as a partisan remark, but Republicans control the White House, they control the House, they control the Senate. Congress is supposed to be the legislative the legislative bloc on the executive. They are a co-equal branch of government, but instead they've been acting as if they are a staffing wing of the White House. If you change the parties on Capitol Hill, there will be some form of accountability. Everyone is always asking me, who's going to save us from this presidency, from this president, from these people? And I always have to turn back to them and say, you are.
Yep. That's the power we're given. Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.